Hey guys, hello and welcome to Naveed for Speed. In today's video, I have been given the opportunity to spend some time with and explore this. This is the YangWang U8. It comes from BYD and it's here today at the BYD York dealership by DM Keith. And I've been given a chance to spend some time with it and explore it a little bit further. And I'm quite fortunate to do so because there's only two of these cars in the whole of the UK. They are here for display purposes and they're touring the whole of the country, including the British Motor Show, and they were at Goodwood as well. But today I have this car to myself and I'm gonna take a look around it and show you some of the features of the exterior and the interior. So let me start by telling you what is BYD and what is YangWang. So BYD is the largest maker of new energy vehicles. That's your hybrid and your electric cars. They have made over 6 million cars and their growth is crazy. You might have seen some of their cars already, but if you haven't, you will have probably definitely seen their buses, especially in London. They make all sorts of vehicles and their battery technology is really good. They've got this blade battery technology which can withstand the spike test. If you haven't already seen that, check that out on YouTube. It's actually really impressive. So what is YangWang? YangWang is their luxury brand. It's their sort of upmarket brand. It's not been confirmed to come to the UK yet, but as of the end of last year, over 4,000 of these YangWang U8s had been ordered in China alone, and it has been confirmed to go to Australia, but currently no news on it here in the UK. So if we take a look around the car, to start with, we'll have a look at the front. You can see they've got this this sort of logo here. That's the YangWang logo. That's meant to be in a Chinese script. That's meant to signify electricity. So that's pretty cool that they've incorporated that into this car. This car isn't fully electric, but I'll tell you a little bit more about the powertrain shortly. It's got this really cool grille which has this sort of gloss finish at the front, makes it look really premium. And then you've got these sort of lights that come in this sort of strange shape, but when they're on, as you can see, the daylight running lights are on. They do look really cool. You can see at the top as well, you've got a load of lights and you've got a load of sensors which can scan the road ahead, and they can tell the intelligent suspension what is coming up ahead and the car can prepare for it. As we move towards the side of the car, you can see these wheels. Now these wheels are 22 inch, I believe they are. 22 or 21? Let me double check. 22 inch, yeah, so these are big wheels on this car and they do look really cool in this sort of satin 5-spoke finish. I really quite like the presence that these wheels give. I mean, the wheels have to be quite big because the entire car is big, isn't it? So as we keep moving further, you can see the size of this car. Now this car, I compared it to the Kia EV9, which I just made a video of recently. If you haven't seen that video, click the link up here and you can see the video on the Kia EV9, which is a big car. But this car is even bigger. It's over 5 meters long and it's over 2 meters wide. It weighs over 3 tons. In fact, it's over 3.5 tons. This car is big, but in order for it to propel itself down the road, and it's claimed a 0 to 60 time of 3.6 seconds. I mean, that's Audi RS territory. In order to do that, this car has been fitted with 4 motors, 1 motor on each wheel, and each of those motors is 220 kilowatts. That's 295 horsepower, and in total they produce 1,180 horsepower, right? So what sort of battery does it have? It has a 49 kilowatt hour battery. So you're thinking that's a pretty small battery for a car of this size, and how can the car accelerate that fast? Well, because it's also got a 2-litre turbocharged engine. And in total, the car gives over 600 miles of range, but on pure electric range, we're talking just over 100 miles of range, which is pretty impressive. But that engine is not powering the wheels. It's the electric motors that power all the wheels. That engine is purely just to extend the range. So that charges the battery, and therefore then the batteries will power the motors, and they will propel you down the road. So in total, this car is, I mean, it's a hybrid of sorts, but it's also, it will drive like an electric car. And we've seen it, it's had its dynamic debut at places like Goodwood. But for now, I won't be driving the car, I'm just going to show you around it. But we're going to get a pretty good opportunity to see a lot of details around this car. Like, for example, this side step here, which looks pretty cool. Now, this side step, really nice and strong. This side step is great for getting in and out of the car, but once you shut the door and you're about to set off, that side step will retract and it will come away. That's really cool. I really like these door handles as well. Again, they remind me a little bit of the Kia EV9's door handles, and they've got that same logo at the top there, but you can simply just pull them open and close the door, and the door's soft closing as well. Again, it gives that whole idea of luxury. In a bit, I'll show you the interior of the car, which has some really cool leather features inside, and the color as well. You might have already been able to see it briefly from the video, but I'll show you that shortly. As we move toward the back of the car, now this is where you can see, I mean, you've got this massive wheel cover on the back as well, which houses the spare wheel. Now this wheel cover, I mean, it does look really quite big, but then again, we're talking 22-inch wheels. It's gonna be big. It adds to the whole presence of this car. It's a full-size SUV. In fact, it's bigger than a Range Rover. It's bigger than the Kia EV9. It's bigger than a Defender. It's massive, this thing. But let's have a look into the boot. So if you just open this bit here, and there you have it. It has a single door which opens to the side, and you can start to see some of the materials that you get here. So you get this sort of almost like a wood finish. You got this sort of leather finish which looks perforated as well, nice to touch, and then you've got this really soft felt finish all the way around in this really cool sort of tan. It's not tan, it's sort of dark camel color, I would say. Sand, maybe? I don't know what the color is called, but it looks really good. And then you've got storage space in the boot here. Do we have anything under here? How do we open this? Okay, just some bits and bats for your charging cables and all sorts. But other than that, I mean, yeah, you've got a parcel shelf which I can't take off now, so I'm just going to leave it as it is. You've got this sort of a metal plate here, which I think that says YangWang and U8 on it. I think so. It's in Chinese, so I'm not exactly sure. But you also get this sort of mirror finish down here, which I think looks really cool. But you do have to be careful not to scuff that. But I suppose if you've got the money to buy this car, you probably have the money to be able to replace stuff like that. This car in China cost the equivalent of, I believe it's around £120,000, although I've been hearing conflicting figures with that, but I believe it's £120,000. Now, for a car, for an SUV, that is a lot of money, but for what you get in this car, that's probably worth it. I mean, you get a motor, a 295 horsepower motor on each of the wheels. That's like a hot hatchback on every wheel, and 3.6 seconds of a car that weighs 3.5 tons. I mean, yeah, it's pretty impressive. There are so many more features of this car that we need to talk about. The car can drive. If one of the wheels has a puncture, it can continue to drive so that it can stay level and it can get you somewhere safely. The car can also do its famous tank turns, which I'll show you a video of just now. Yeah, I don't think the bumps will translate onto the camera because it'll stabilize, but it felt like we were sort of going backwards downhill first. But I suppose when you turn, you're going to turn backwards rather than on a normal turn you'd be going forward. You'd be turning. Pretty impressive, right? And the car can also, the big headline is the car can swim. So what that means is, well, the car has a wading depth of 0.8 meters. So 0.8 meters, probably about this high. So if the water gets to about that high, the car can continue to drive. But then once the water starts to go any higher than that, the car will go into this emergency mode. The motors are already sealed off. The air conditioning will turn itself off. All the windows inside will go up. The sunroof will open as an emergency exit if you need to get in and out of the car, and the car will float on water for 30 minutes. The idea behind this is during natural disasters, during flash floods, if you get caught in an emergency situation, the car can float. But you do have to remember that it is an emergency situation. We're not going to test that today because that will ruin the car, because you then need to take the car to BYD to have it all serviced and opened up and checked and make sure that everything's okay. So it's a one-time emergency thing, but it's a pretty impressive headline, and it's great for if you do live somewhere where you are prone to natural disasters. What I'll do now is I'll show you around the inside, because I've actually not been inside this car yet, so I'm really excited to check it out. Let's go check it out together. So I do apologize, I have been in this interior for quite some time right now before I continue to make the rest of this video. That's because there's so much in here to explore and there's so much to talk about. When it comes to luxury, this car has it. These seats are really cushiony, really lovely. I would like to say though, however, it does feel a little bit cramped in here. for such a big car, but I imagine the back is probably got a lot more room. But as far as the driver, I suppose you're snug, but you're comfortable. Everything is nice and soft. It's really good. You got all this nice leather material in that same color, which I still don't know what it's called. You got stitching in there. You got perforated leather in the seats. You've got all this soft material again, the sort of soft felt material. This is car charging port, phone charging ports over here as well. You've got, again, leather on the steering wheel. Feels really good. Nice chunky steering wheel with a flat bottom. Does look really nice. You've got all sorts of buttons on here, which have which tell you the mode. So I've just put sport mode on, although I'm not going to be driving this car right now. It really is really interesting to explore everything over here. In front of the driver, you've got a 23.6 inch screen, which gives you your instrument display. It gives you all sorts of information of the car. It really is quite big. In fact, I'm having to look through the steering wheel to see some of the features. I mean, obviously everything that you need is front and center. You got your speed and everything, but you've got your tire pressures, and you've got what song is playing and all sorts. But then the passenger also gets a 23.6 inch screen, and that gives the passenger all sorts of information. The passenger can choose their favorite songs, music, all sorts on there as well. And it is really quite responsive, actually. I'm so surprised. You can get the map up as well, and you can get all sorts. Is that showing the map? Yes, it is, actually. I think so. Yeah. And the passenger can also play karaoke. I'll get back to the karaoke bit in a second. In the center console, you get a 12.8 inch screen, which is sort of curved, which I think looks really cool. And again, that is really, really responsive as well. You can do all sorts by pressing a simple button to open all the windows, close all the windows, change the ambient lighting. I mean, the graphics on this look really quite good. I know it is daytime, so I wouldn't expect them to have been this good, but they are really quite good. And then you've got loads of physical buttons on the bottom, and stuff to change your sort of ride height, your ground clearance, which the car can lift up by 15 centimeters from its current position. So that's really quite good. Other than that, I mean, it does feel like a really good place to be. Everything's easy, nice to reach. At least cushion behind your head for the driver, the passenger, and the rear passengers actually as well. Rear passengers get 3 screens as well, one behind each of the front seats, and you get a screen in the middle. The one thing that I do have to tell you, however, is check this out. So this box I found inside this car, and I was thinking, what is this, right? Let's have a look inside it. So if I open it for you, it has a microphone in there. Now that is to play the karaoke in here. I'm not going to do that right now. But yeah, you get a microphone with this car. Let's be careful not to break anything, because this is an expensive car and I do not want that bill sent to me. Other than that, you get the interior mirror has a camera as well, so you can see out the back. That's, again, really cool feature. I think that's as standard. Can we change that? I don't think we can change that and turn it off. That's just how it is. I suppose because the view from the back isn't going to be too great because of that massive wheel and wheel cover that you have back there. Can I open the sunroof? Let me see if I can open not the sunroof, but at least the sun cover, because that was blocking quite a lot of light in here. And now if I open that right now, check that out. That's got to be longer than a meter, hasn't it? That's let so much more light into the cabin. And then you can also open the sunroof, I believe, as well. Yeah, there you go. So of course, if you are finding yourself in that emergency situation where the car is going to be floating on water, this sunroof will open as well, so you can get firstly fresh air, but also if you need to get out, you can get out of the car. BYD and YangWang have thought about safety when it comes to all their cars. That's the priority when it comes to their cars, and I think that's why these cars are able to do the stuff that they're able to do, because you're talking nearly 1,200 horsepower in a car that weighs 3.5 tons. That can't be safe on the road. But BYD have got stuff in place to make sure that that's that's possible. I do also have to mention, actually, I have forgotten to mention that in front of the driver you get a augmented heads-up display. So what I mean by augmented is it can actually project an image of the road or a video of the road onto the heads-up display, and then it can project all the different symbols and signs for your for example, for your sat nav onto the road, and that screen in front of you is 70 inches. So these are only 23 inches, these two screens that the driver and the passenger has. That's 70 inches in front of you. And I'll try to put a video on that. My camera won't necessarily record it too well, but I'll try to put a video in here just now to show you what that looks like. And it is really cool. I feel like I'm watching a TV. I don't know how well that'll work when you are actually driving, if it's distracting, but the technology that this car shows is really quite good. I think overall, it's what's it called? It's an exercise of what's possible and what BYD can do, and no wonder this car has taken all the headlines. It really is quite impressive, and I think if I ever got a chance to drive one, which I hope I do, BYD, then I will really take up the opportunity and take it in, because yeah, this car is impressive. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you can watch more of my videos. I do walk around videos, I do car review videos, first drive videos, and thank you very much for DM Keith and the BYD York showroom for allowing me to take a look around this car and to show you guys in a bit more detail what this car is, because I'm sure you've seen so much about it already, but I'm glad to have brought you a bit more detail about what's outside and inside this car. So thank you very much to DM Keith. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully see you on the next video. Take care.